So 2021 is over, and I guess I should be making some kind of recap of what happened during this year. Well, cats. There happened a lot of cats, I guess. Welcome to Cosplayland! I am Alice, and yeah, the end of the year is already here. Actually, I'm recording this like the 2nd of January because I've been on holidays, and that's fine, isn't it? So I was not going to do this video because honestly I was a bit tired after a very long year and I just wanted to spend some time off with my family, but I thought that at least I would just try to just have a little recap for you and just show you all the things that I have done this year, which have been a lot. This year I've made a total of 8 new cosplays and a dress, so 9 big projects that I have mostly shared with you. And I did start my year like many of you did, like not with many hopes because it wasn't a promising year. I actually started January, just came back from home, and I came back to a full lockdown again, so in a sense that was good because it meant that I would be able to do more cosplays and not having to worry about my job. But on the other hand, it wasn't so good because as I was working as a supply teacher and I was furloughed, I was getting like much less money than I should be getting. Just to give you an example, I should have been earning money every single day of the week because there was a lot of demand for supply teachers at the beginning of the year, but because they made this kind of odd whatever you did in the previous years, they were only paying me 80% of my wages for 3 days, which meant like quite a significant downfall on the money I was earning, which is not fun. So yeah, it wasn't a great start of the year. Nevertheless, I just used the time and just decided to just carry on and just do cosplay, which is what I really like. And I finished my first cosplay by the end of the month. And that's when I made Echidna, which was from ReZero, which was playing at the time, and I really liked the series. And it was alright, I really loved the cosplay, but it wasn't a great, people wasn't very excited to see this cosplay, so yeah, first cosplay of the year, loved it, but yeah, it didn't go as well as I would have hoped, considering that the show was still running. It's an amazing cosplay, it's an amazing character, and I was actually experimenting. That's when, at the beginning of the year, I was experimenting a lot with lights, and I started experimenting with setting my cosplays in an environment that looked like cosplay, which I think I did quite okay, and I used new equipment and I was very excited about all of this. I guess it was alright, but for a first cosplay it was a bit underwhelming. Of course, as you know, I'm a fan of Genshin Impact. At this point I had been playing for months and months and I was totally hooked. And in March I decided to just start with a couple of projects, name it Ganyu and name it Lisa. I got all the materials, we were still in lockdown, I spent a lot of money on all the materials for Lisa, but everything I did, it was not working. At the beginning of the year I had like a mental block. Everything I did was going wrong. If you were on my social media at the time, you know at this point I was like losing my mind a little bit because every time I was doing a cosplay something seemed to be wrong. For Ganyu, I think I made the bodysuit 3 times from scratch because it was not working, and even today when I look at it I'm not happy with it. But it wasn't just that, it was every single thing I tried. It didn't seem to work. I thought I had lost it, I thought I had, it wasn't the kind of thing that I should be doing anymore, that, I don't know, I think it was a bad time for everybody. It was like the 4th lockdown and you just get like tired of it, and I didn't know what to do with myself. If you have been in social media all this time, you will know that about March was the time in which Instagram decided to, well, maybe it was a bit earlier than that, it was February, March, Instagram decided to introduce Reels, trying to, you know, contrast TikTok and all the people that were uploading videos, and they were promoting Reels like crazy. Personally, Reels are not something that I was enjoying to make because honestly it takes a lot of time to wear a cosplay, and it takes me even longer to take the photos by myself, and it takes longer to edit the photos and take a video, and then you have to do these dozens of videos with a lot of Reels just to entertain people for 30 seconds, and it was a lot of work. So yeah, at this time people who were making Reels were going up, up, and up. And people that we kept doing what we had always do, which is just share our photos. We take a lot of time doing this. We were just going down, down, down. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind it if I don't get more followers, that's fine. But when you see your follower count go down, you start to think, what am I doing wrong? Is it me? And let me tell you something, it's not you, it's not me, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's the algorithm not being fair, and it is the way things are. I think everybody was a bit tired of everything, a lot of people left, a lot of people didn't care anymore about Instagram, and of course social media was doing was the same as they always do. They were trying to get money from people. And if you are just there, just trying to just show what you do to the world, they don't care about you. If you talk with anyone that has been on social media during this year, they will all tell you, no doubt, that there has been like a massive drop, not only on followers. It's like I feel everybody was so tired of everything, tired of lockdowns, tired of the situation, tired of not being able to go to conventions. Everybody was tired. And then you get the algorithm, which until then was just pushing everybody like, yeah, post more stuff, because if you post the stuff in the platform, for sure you're gonna get more followers, you're gonna get exposure, people are gonna see what you do, and you will get like that little dopamine kick that it's like someone clicking and liking your post and clicking and commenting. That's quite awesome. And for some reason in March, everything just went down. I was getting, in everything that I posted, I was getting maybe like 60%, 80% reach, which is like the number of people that will actually see your post. Because I don't know if you know this, but on the Instagram algorithm, what happens is that what you post, it's not going to be seen by all the people that follow you. It's going to be seen by a percentage of the people that follow you and a percentage of the people that don't follow you. So my reach was quite good, which told me what I was doing was good in my mind, obviously. And suddenly it just disappeared. We went from, you know, having 80% reach or 40 or 60 to 5% to 8%, which meant that if I had 1,500 followers, maybe 15 people of my followers, or maybe 30 or 40 were seeing my posts. And you know, it went from here to here, and I think that affected us creators, because it was a very sudden change. And honestly, at the time, I think we were all in the same boat thinking, what have we done wrong? What have we done so the gods of the algorithm are not helping us? It was a bad situation, and yeah, it wasn't great. In the end, I did not finish Ganyu, I did not finish Ganyu, and I did not finish Lisa. I don't think I started her other than printing parts of her costume, and you know, I felt terrible. It was horrible. So basically, I decided to give it a little kick and just try to just fight this algorithm, and if they wanted Reels, I decided I was going to make Reels. And that took us to April, and April was a roller coaster. As I said, I never expected to be a big personality on Instagram. I don't think I've tried hard enough on it, to be honest. But seeing your progress to go to a -%, like losing followers instead of gaining them. Like when you post something and you get like 10 new followers and 30 people start unfollowing you, you do think that you're doing something wrong. I think now I wasn't, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't, but you can't help feeling like that. So I decided to do this like amazing strategy to just, you know, push back and just do some reels. So I didn't decide to make 1 but 4 new cosplays in 1 month. At this time lockdown had just finished, or to be exact, it had not finished, but as I was working as a supply teacher, the government here in the UK decided to open the schools while everything else was closed, and they were telling you every day, it's not safe to go outside, but if you are a teacher you have to go to class with a bunch of kids, different class every day, and it's like, oh, you're gonna be fine. Like, honestly, they actually, in the schools I was, like at the very beginning, they wouldn't even let me wear a face mask because they said that the screens weren't off. Like, you wear a screen, the kids wouldn't be able to see my lips and they wouldn't be able to learn and everything. So I was made to wear just a screen, one of those silly things that you put on your forehead, and I wasn't even allowed to use a mask, which obviously does not help your mental health. It was not safe, let's face it, it was not safe. They didn't know what they were doing, and I understand that we need to carry on, and I agree we need to, but you can't be sending a message of this is not safe for some people, and to other people like, oh, you know, you don't need to wear a mask. You know, it wasn't here, it wasn't a thing. Wearing a mask in March was not compulsory, and the kids didn't have to wear a mask either, so it was a bit like, not great. So we are in this situation in which I feel unsafe in my work, and then we have all these, you know, projects that I want to do. So there were 2 weeks of holidays, and I decided to do as much as I could during those 2 weeks, because I knew that once I went back to work I wouldn't have the time to do new stuff. So I did what I could, and that month I released my Yashiro Nene cosplay, which I had finished last year, or rather the year before, but I hadn't worn because, you know, all the things going on, and not feeling motivated about it. So I finished my Yashiro Nene, which I believe was a great cosplay. Then I also made a photo shoot trying new lights, experimenting with light, experimenting with my camera for REM. I also did the same with Miko Ino, which was a character from Love is War. I already had the cosplay from the previous year as well, so I thought I may as well do this one because it's easy. And then I decided to also do a photo shoot of my Cinder Fall, because when I wore it a couple of years before, I never made a photo shoot, and I know you love Cinder, I love Ruby, so I thought this is gonna be great. This is my moment. I'm just gonna be making photos of these cosplays and send them and do tons of reels, and then I'll have content for a couple of weeks or months, or as much as I can stretch them, because this is what the algorithm wants. And then my bad luck struck again. Not only I lost all the photos for my Cinderfall photo shoot because my SD card became corrupted, I also lost all the reels that I have done with those 4 cosplays. It literally took me 2 weeks doing a photo shoot every other day, doing reels, doing videos. I lost all the information on my phone and I wasn't able to get them back. So I came from a situation in which I wasn't feeling great to just trying to just rise from the ashes and just get more things out, to lose all the work that I had done. By April, I just didn't want to know anything about social media nor anything about cosplay. I was going to leave. So yeah, in April I did not touch a single needle. Like, I didn't want to do anything. I was just a husk. left social media, didn't touch it, like I didn't post anything, I guess, for a full month or something like that. I just went to work, did my thing, came back, played video games, and just went to bed. And that was it. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to hobby. I didn't want to sew anything. I couldn't stand there. It was horrible. But I did do one thing. I had a lot of material that I hadn't had time to post before, and I was not on social media, but I decided, well, I have recorded this full video while I was making my Just Your Nanny cosplay the year before, but with everything that had happened, I had completely forgotten about it. And then I thought, well, I'm not doing anything, so at least I may post this and help someone that may be wanting to do this cosplay as well. And that's when I decided to post my first video on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't my first video ever. I had done some videos before. I had done my Sailor Moon cosplay videos and a couple of things here or there, like that I had posted, and they had done well, but I had never really thought of doing YouTube videos because to be honest, the camera freaks me out. I don't even, I'm getting used to it still. It's very weird to be talking to a camera. I did decide to post this video, and it did surprisingly well. Like, honestly, people loved it, which I did not understand, because it was just like, you know, I'm cutting the fabric, I'm sewing this and whatever, but for some reason it did work, and I thought, okay, let's, at least maybe I can help someone. Like, if I can't, you know, instead of just spending time on this, at least I can just like share the things that I have here, and it may help someone. I've always wanted to help people. If you have been around long enough, you know that I have a blog with over 200 tutorials, but I am aware that my blog is kind of obsolete because nowadays everything is video, and just seeing something which is just having to read a lot of stuff, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So yeah, I mean, if people were not reading it because they didn't like the format anymore, maybe I could just change the format and pass it to video. So I just posted it, and for a couple of months I just posted things that I had pre-recorded. I didn't create anything new, I just posted what I had, and people seemed to like it, which was surprising for me. By the end of May, I still didn't want to do any cosplay. It had been like perhaps over 2 months for me without touching a needle, which is something that hadn't happened in a long time. I've been doing cosplay for about 12 years or so, and I don't remember a time in which, except for the very beginning, in which I had stopped creating for so long. At the end of May, it was the wedding of some of my best friends here in England, and I had these amazing fabrics that I had bought to make a dress of my own to wear to the wedding. I honestly was not gonna do it because I wasn't feeling right. But as you do like 3 days before the wedding or so, I decided, like, I have this fabric and it's gonna be a waste if I don't do it. I really want to do something. So after several months of not wanting to do anything, for the first time, I decided to make a new dress, and I just made it, like literally finished it the day of the wedding, but I didn't make it. Call it Con Crunch, Wedding Crunch or something like that, but I did finish it. I even had like a mask to go through the dress, so you know, it did work. So basically everybody was telling me like what I did was really good, and why wasn't I selling this stuff and doing things for other people, because it was really good, even if I knew that, you know, the dress could have done better, because that's another thing. I had put on weight with the lockdown as everybody else had done. I know you wouldn't notice it on me, but I couldn't notice it on the weight. And my usual pattern was not working anymore, which just made me feel a bit down as well, but I managed to get on that dress even if it wasn't my size anymore. But yeah, I made this dress, which honestly I think it was quite nice and quite cute. And people were complimenting my dress. They were saying, you are really good at this, you should be doing this, you should be just selling these things. And that's when I realized I was already selling these things. I had had my Etsy shop for 5 years. And you know what? It was working somehow. Like, it didn't matter that I wasn't doing great on Instagram, that I didn't have followers on YouTube. My Facebook was pretty much dead and I don't even use Twitter. I had a shop on Etsy selling patterns. I only had like a dozen patterns on the shop, like no more than 15 or 16. And it was doing alright. And I realized, like, why am I not doing this like more? Why am I not doing more patterns? Why am I not putting all the things that I do have and just put them out there to help people do cosplay as well? Why? Like, why? It was silly not to. By the way, April here in England is the tax year, and it's when you see how much you have earned during the year, and you need to do a tax return. Not always, but because I had a little shop, I had to do a tax return, and you basically know how much money you are making. And I came to the realization that through my job, the one that I did all the time in the mornings as a supply teacher, I had made so little that it wasn't even enough to get me to minimum wage here in England. Considering I was going to work every single day and I was working in a condition in which I wasn't feeling safe because of all the pandemic and everything, and I was doing all the work, all the hours, like doing extra stuff, helping extra. When I had free time I would offer myself to do other stuff. I was doing everything, and I think I was doing everything to the best of my abilities and beyond. And I didn't have a permanent job. It was still like, you know, we will call you in the morning and maybe you have a job and maybe you don't that day. You don't know. Being a supply teacher is like really stressful. And yeah, I was doing all this work, I was feeling stressful, I wasn't feeling safe, and after all that I was not getting the minimum wage. I wasn't making it to minimum wage at the end of the year, which was like a shock, because I really thought I had worked a lot the previous year. So when I saw it on the tax return, it was like, oh my god, this is not great, because with all the furloughs and all the times you have holidays, it's like, oh yeah, you have time to do cosplay, but you actually don't have, you know, an income to just justify those cosplays because you don't have money for it. So it wasn't great. Like, it made me feel like trash. So here I am in this situation in which I hate social media, but I realized I actually like making cosplays, and I don't care at this point about social media, about what people are going to say. I just don't care. I just want to carry on doing cosplay because it is what I like. By June I decided that maybe I could put a little bit more effort in the shop, which seemed to be working, and, you know, forget a little bit about social media, because honestly, social media wasn't paying my bills. And, you know, my job, which I did not love, not anymore, because you don't have time. When you're a supply teacher, kids don't take you seriously, and even if you're trying your best to teach them all you can, it's never going to be the same. And I was hoping at the end of the month, in June, that I was going to get like a permanent job in this school, because I had been going to the same place for about 3 years, and it did not happen, which again was another hit. Like, if someone had told me in June, hey, Start in September, we give you a permanent job. You don't need to worry anymore about having your phone on in the morning and having a call in the morning just to get to work or not. You're going to be permanent and you're going to have like a stable income, and it doesn't matter if you're a fellow, you're going to be paid properly, because that's another thing. At some point during the pandemic, because I was in contact with someone that had COVID, I had to self-isolate, and that meant not having any money for that week because, you know, I wasn't paid for the weeks that I was ill, which is not great. It's not a great job if you think of it in terms of the thing that you get. Like, as I said, if you're ill, you don't get any money. If you're furloughed, you get less than half of the money. If you have holidays of any kind, you don't have any money. If they don't call you, you don't have any money. So it's not something stable and you want to be doing for a long time. For a few months until you find something stable, it's okay, but in the long term, it just you know, tracks you, and it gets to a point in which you don't want to do it anymore. Not to say that it depends on the school you go to. You can get schools in which the kids are going to be horrible to you, or they are going to play pranks on you just because they can, because there's no one protecting you. It's really, really, really not a very rewarding career. So yeah, I was quite done with it by the end of June. But at the same time, if I had had the same job but being stable and had time to know the kids and they know who I am and I can work with them full time, that changes everything, because that's when you have time to make a bond with them, and that's when you can actually teach them something and they can learn. If they only see you once every 3 months, they will never learn anything from you because they don't even trust you. So of course I was waiting for this job and it did never happen, which, you know what, I didn't care at this point. Again, I just hated everything. I hated social media, I hated my job, I hated myself for not doing anything else. I'm not trying to pursue something different. There were just many things there that were not right with my life. So I just decided to do what I do best, which is to cosplay, and that's when I decided to do this crazy cosplay, which has been what I've been working on for most of last year, which is my Jean Dandelion cosplay. And at the beginning it was like, yeah, you're just gonna just blast it. It's gonna be like very short process. You're just gonna take some shortcuts and make something quick, and no, I don't know how to make things like with shortcuts. I just go full on or not. So in the end, this project that should have been maybe a month or two, just the ones that I had holidays and I wasn't working at all. Of course I'm paid, by the way, because obviously, as I was saying, if you're a supply, yeah, you have July and August, or half of July and August free, but you don't get a single penny for those months, so you just have to rely on your earnings. So yeah, it was fun. But basically I spent all this time doing Jean and it was looking awesome, and I decided to share the process and the journey with you here on YouTube, and you loved it, and I had like so many people just liking my content, just saying that they liked it, just asking for advice. It was awesome, it was great. I was feeling motivated again to do cosplay, and that was the highlight of my year, I guess. So it carried on like this all July, all August. Came September and I had to go back to the horrible job that I hated. Just it had become even worse. As I said, I have been working in the same school for the last 2-3 years, and they were in general very nice to me. I knew the kids and it's okay. But they had new staff, new members of staff for the school, so they didn't need as much supply as they used to, and things happened with other supplies because we were all a bit tired, we were slightly underpaid as well, and we were aware of it. So things happened. I wasn't being called as often to the same school anymore. I was being called to other schools, which honestly did not have as good a reputation. And not get me wrong, I've worked in all kinds of school with all kinds of children, and I respect everyone, and I will go to every place, but honestly, September came, I was back to going to schools in which nobody knew me, you feel awkward, the kids don't listen to you, it's a difficult job, that it's even worse if you don't know the other members of staff and if you don't know the children, so starting from zero anywhere is difficult. Being a supply teacher means starting from zero every other day, so my mental stability was totally gone in September, and unfortunately I wasn't able to finish my teen cosplay in September, or rather in August. So now I was again in this situation in which I was doing a job that I didn't like anymore. In the mornings when I was home, I just wanted to just rest and relax and just mentally prepare for the next day that potentially was going to be a nightmare, and I just wasn't doing the things as I wanted, and I was feeling bad again about it. And yeah, on top of that, my 3D printers, I have two 3D printers, they both stopped at the end of August or so, or probably before that. They broke. They are expensive pieces of equipment, and the problem wasn't that I couldn't fix it, it's that I couldn't find anyone that could help me fix them, because the problem I had with them, even if I called the customer service and everything, it was like, oh, try fixing this yourself, just open the machine yourself, which wasn't the guarantee, by the way. Just open it and just change this thing that you don't even know what it is, you've never done this before, and there was no one in the city that was available to fix it for me, so it was like, you know, every time I used the machine it was not working, so it was really frustrating. So again, in September I was feeling down again because I didn't have time to mess around with the printers while I was messing around in school, going to different places. It was too much. By the end of September I had enough. I really had enough. I had enough. I just wanted to quit. I hated my job, and it was stopping me from enjoying my life. It wasn't even a matter of, you know, I don't have time to make cosplay or whatever. No, I was really not enjoying the time I was having. I remember the last day I was already thinking about quitting, and I was gonna wait a few months just to, you know, earn a bit of money, because I hadn't had any money from July nor August because I had been off with holidays. So I was thinking I'll just like last a couple of months, just perhaps till November or something like that. I will quit, and then I'll just have time to just earn some more money and just have some savings for it. And they sent me to this school. It was the first time I had gone to this school. It was very stressing because the school had two parts. I had to go from one school to teach another class in the other part of the school, which was 15 minutes away, and then I had to go back to the previous one, had no breaks, had a very stressful day full of classes. Kids didn't know me, of course they didn't listen to me, because who listens to the supply teacher? Be honest with yourself. So it had been a very stressful day, and then I was waiting for the bus at the bus stop. Of course the bus was late, and there was a bunch of kids which were being like just really, by the way, I teach in high school, so it's not even the little children, we are talking high school kids. And there was a bunch of kids just being a pain, just throwing bottles of water and bottles of energy drinks to each other. There were a couple of girls that had been in my class, and another kid that had been in my last class as well, so I knew who they were roughly. And basically they were just throwing stuff. I was at the bus stop with a mother, her children, an old woman, and there was this bunch of kids that for 20 minutes non-stop were just throwing energy drinks in and around the bus stop, with people inside it, and I just like thought, I've had enough. I straight up in front of one of the kids told them to stop, to leave it, that I would just report them to the school head teacher because I had just been there. I just wanted to go home, and I just wanted them to stop. And after a very long day, that just was the last straw. Not to say that I ended up head to toe covered in Lucozade, which is an energy drink. So I had to go back home on a bus full of kids, completely wet, because these stupid kids have been just being a nightmare, which is what, honestly, the rest of my days as a supply teacher were going to look like. And I said, you know what? It's someone else's turn. I've done enough. I don't want to carry on going to these places. I don't want to have to deal with this stuff. And I knew perfectly well that they were not going to be told off nor anything, and it was affecting my mental health, and I couldn't stand it a single minute. So I just called the agency and I said, I quit. I don't want to have anything to do with schools, anything, no more. I've had enough. So yeah, end of September, and I had no job, and you know, the only thing I had left to do was to actually spend my time doing things that I liked. So I carried on with my cosplay. I started a new project. I had left Jean for a bit because, as I said, I couldn't use my printers, so I couldn't finish the models that I had done. I couldn't do them. So in October I started my Ochako Witch cosplay, and I, for the first time, knowing that I didn't have to go to school anymore, fight these kids that they didn't even know me and I didn't even know them, so it was always random. You know, I started to have fun. I made the tutorials again. People were liking my tutorials, people were watching my tutorials. I was so happy about it. Social media, I was still like, I honestly don't care much about social media these days. Yeah, it's great having new people around, and I love commenting and sharing my stuff. I'm still doing that, but it wasn't like before. It was different. I was just posting whatever I was doing, whenever I wanted. I didn't care about the best time to post. I didn't care about posting the same content. I just didn't care. I just posted because I wanted to, and I posted what I wanted to. If people liked it, amazing. If I gained followers, amazing. If I didn't, it's okay. I'm just sharing what I'm doing. You can like it, you cannot like it. I'm not gonna be upset. It's you know, it's your choice. I'm just put it there just in case it's useful for someone. So yeah, I actually started having fun and just posting instead of, as I was doing every single day, which I was trying to do that at the beginning of the year, posting every single day, and every picture had to be different, and every picture had to be at this time, because if I posted it at a different time it wouldn't work. And if I had a picture that people didn't like, oh my god, I had to take it off, because you don't have to do that. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I've been on social media for over 8 years now, and I haven't earned a single penny from it, like zero. I don't make money on just being on Instagram or any social media, so why should I care about how many likes my post gets? I shouldn't. It's not paying my bills, is it? So I started doing this. I started just posting whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and just having genuine conversations with people just because I wanted to, not because I had to. It's never been because I had to, don't get me wrong, but it felt like if I didn't reply within 5 minutes, I was letting someone down, and it's like, No, you're just living your life and you choose to put it on social media, and if people like you and follow you, I really, really appreciate it, but if they don't, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So, yeah, I was just doing whatever I wanted. I posted my first showcase video, and I had a lot of fun recording that video as well, which was the Chaco video. And I started doing more stuff. I also finished my Mocha cosplay that, again, last year I had left halfway through because I wasn't motivated enough to finish. And then in November I also finished in when I finally managed to fix my printers, which by the way are broken again. And then December I made the Barber Christmas cosplay, which was also awesome. And November, which was Halloween, was my biggest ever sale on the shop. And you know what? I realized that maybe I wouldn't be like rich. I'm still not getting minimum wage with what I am from the shop, but it was enough to survive. I can buy food and I can just pay the bills with the money that I get from my Etsy shop, and that is awesome. That's something that I never thought could happen. So I really need to thank you all, because your support, even if it's just watching this video, which is way too long, means a lot to me. And obviously all these, you know, sales on Etsy and people actually telling me that they like what I do where it matters, which is when you are just giving them something so they can do their own cosplays. It's just amazing, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Yeah, basically that has been my summary of the 2021, which has been a total roller coaster. And yeah, I went several times from not wanting to do a cosplay anymore to really be hyped with cosplay to not wanting to hyped again, and I think I'm just gonna stay hyped for as long as you allow me to. And I would love to carry on doing these videos and showing you what I do with my time, how I do my cosplays, how I do my patterns, and just those little silly videos in which I get to play with my cats and you get to see them, and this is now what I'm doing. So yeah, that's the big announcement. I am now a full-time content creator. Yeah. So yes, expect to see me around more often. Hopefully this will still work and I just can carry on with the shop. And thank you very much for your support, just your likes, your comments, and just your messages cheer me up every single time. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, so thank you very much for everything. And by the way, if you're wondering what I'm planning to do in 2022, I don't know. Like, honestly, the answer is I don't know. I posted a few polls on my Instagram. I usually post polls on my Instagram, and not always I follow them through because, you know, sometimes you can't, or you don't have materials or whatever, but I do try to listen to you guys. So if you have any requests or comments, just let me know below, and I'll promise I will check them all, and I will just see which ones are more popular, and I'll try to do that. Just say that expect more Genshin Impact because I'm still very hyped with that. Maybe some Demon Slayer, maybe some My Hero Academia, what else? Maybe something from the 80s because I love the 90s and the 80s cartoons. So yeah, it probably is going to be like a lot of stuff coming your way, so I hope you like it, and thank you very much again. See you next time. Bye. Hello. Want a cup of tea?